It's Monday, May 4th, 2020. I want to start this video out today, and I want to use the word oblivious. People are oblivious. I cannot believe how many people actually believe that this economy is going to come roaring back, that we're going to go into some booming economy when we didn't have a booming economy to begin with. And if people took a little bit of time, cut out the Netflix and the reality TV, and actually took a little bit of time to educate themselves, knowledge is power, they might actually have an inkling to what is really happening to their country, what's really happening to their economy, what's really happening to their pensions, their retirements, their 401ks, and maybe they would do something about it. Maybe they would protect themselves. But people are literally like walking zombies. They're walking around in a comatose state, like they don't even care. That they believe everything that little television tells them. And it just amazes me on a daily basis how conditioned people are and accepting they are of anything the television tells them. And thank God for people like you, the 98.5% out there that actually know what's going on, who are awake, who have knowledge. And I want to reinforce some things today. I know a lot of people out there believe they're the only ones that believe something's going on here. They're the only ones that think the economy's in bad shape. They're the only ones that think the stock market is manipulated. Unfortunately, people are being robbed, ripped off, and bamboozled. Their pensions are being robbed. Their Social Security is being robbed. Their futures, their retirements. It's all being robbed while people stand by now waiting for the economy to open up, an economy that didn't exist before, and it isn't going to exist when things open. I want to go over a couple articles, reinforce with every one of you what's going on here. Remember, knowledge is power, and we should all be doing some research. We should all be doing some due diligence here, and we should all really be arming ourselves with as much knowledge as possible. It's an article on CNBC. Small businesses, many of which couldn't get PPP loans, have a few months or less to survive. It says in the article, of 2,200 small business owners surveyed, just 13% of the 45% who applied for a PPP loan were approved. We all know that most of that money went to big corporations, it went to hedge funds, it went to casinos. It bailed out the big boys while the mom and pop, the small business owner, got vaporized. It goes on to say those that applied for the $10,000 economic injury disaster loan, they fared even worse with only 3% being approved. Where did all this money go? 43% of small businesses surveyed report they could survive for a few months or less. 7% said they'll only be able to survive for less than a month. So they are weeks out from going under. There was an article on The Hedge today, and as some of the country is reopening, here's what we're seeing. It says here in The Hedge, we had 2 customers all weekend. Georgia small businesses gripe about disasters reopening. Look, people's credit cards are getting shut off. Their credit limits are getting cut in half. People are tapped out. They don't have money. They don't have cash. They don't have a job. And many people are very fearful about even going out. As they watch the TV on a daily basis, they're literally in panic mode. So Georgia's finding out pretty early in the game here that the economy is not coming back. And this is going to be a new American economy when things get turned back on. And remember, here in California, it's going in 4 phases, and we're now just in the first phase. This economy may not even be fully opened until next year. It's a huge possibility. We don't know. But every day that goes by, it's just devastating to small business. I read an article by Michael Snyder this morning. It was very good. I'm going to paraphrase through some of the things he said. And he's kind of talking in this article of why the economy isn't coming back, and the crash that we're in right now is just going to continue. He says, let's take lending restrictions. They've been very loose in recent years, extremely loose, helping to create debt-fueled booms. Banks such as Chase now require a 700 FICO for all new home loans. And they're just one of the financial institutions, one of the banks now that are requiring a 20% down payment. Now, you know, if you're out here in Southern California, Orange County, the average home in Orange County is around $650,000. So for somebody to put down 20%, that's $130,000. We know that most people are paycheck to paycheck. We know that about half this country doesn't even have $400 in cash saved up. So ask yourself, how many people right now who are living in a home would qualify or get approved for a mortgage right now with these new regulations? Probably many wouldn't. Again, you have 50% of this country making less than $32,000 a year. You've got about half the country with less than $400 in cash savings, and 80% of the country living paycheck to paycheck. So now, 700 FICA, 20% down. This is going to be very, very hard on the housing market, and this is why I expect we're going to see a deteriorating housing market, not only in California, but across the United States of America. He goes on to say, home equity loans are getting hit even harder. Wells Fargo is no longer taking HELOC applications, no matter how good your credit is. And that makes me think, how many people have been basically propping up their lifestyles with borrowing money, taking money, cash out of their house to buy the cars, to buy the RVs, to buy the vacations, to buy the lifestyle, to buy the middle-class standard of living. People are pulling massive amounts of money. They were pulling massive amounts of money out of these homes. And now, with everything that's going on, people aren't working. So what do you think people are trying to do? They need to pull money. They need to pull some equity out of their home, and now they're not going to be able to do it like they once did. And this is going to be another problem here. Credit card companies are lowering credit limits, even canceling credit cards, often without warning. A lot of people have commented down below. I remember months ago when people were getting their limits raised. Now people are writing me telling me their limits are getting cut, and a few people have written me telling me that their cards got canceled. Remember, our economy is consumer driven. If consumers don't have access to easy credit, this economy grinds to a halt, and we are watching that happen right now. Many people who this doesn't affect, who have credit cards, who have cash, we have to remember, many people are going to be fearful to leave their house when these economies open up, when more states open up. As we saw in Georgia, nobody went out. So either people are going to be tapped out with cash, they don't have it, or they don't have the credit cards, or they're just plain out fearful about leaving the house. So this is going to be a huge effect on the economy. He goes on to say, companies and stores that do open will be concerned about lawsuits. I'm reading about this today. The lawsuits have already begun. Remember, we're in a sue-happy society where, you know, if you burn your mouth on a cup of coffee, that establishment could get sued for $1 million, especially out here in California. So even store owners, business owners are going to be reluctant to even open because of the lawsuits. There's no protection. You know, we're in a time in America where we have an entire economy in disarray. And not only just the economy, society is in disarray. And it's a really awful combination when you have economic and social disarray. Now, I can't read into the future, but I don't think you have to be a brain surgeon to figure out that this is leading into a very, very bad place for America, and that things are going to get much worse before they get better. For all the people out there that believe that there's going to be some economic utopia here in America, you should read this article. It's on the Wall Street Journal. And this will maybe enlighten you a little bit to what's really happening and how much trouble we are really in. California is the first state to borrow from federal government to make unemployment payments. Remember, the unemployment numbers now are exceeding 50 million. California borrowed $348 million in federal funds after receiving approval to tap up to $10 billion through the end of July. The U.S. government approved loans of up to $12.6 billion for the state of Illinois and $1.1 billion for the state of Connecticut through the end of July to replenish state unemployment insurance. So federal assistance is now required to help stop the unemployment hemorrhaging that is taking place throughout many states here in America. What's going to happen when the pensions go bust? What's going to happen when so many states go bust? I guess the Fed will just print massive amounts of money, which you and I will be on the hook for, which is going to devalue the purchasing power of the US dollar. It's bad for everybody, but again, we reward bad behavior with money. Bad news is good news for the markets, and bad behavior apparently is going to be good for states. So these politicians can continue to rob, steal, and bamboozle people because they're going to get a bailout by the federal government. Just think about where all this money has been gone. Where's all this money going? The money that's been stolen out of pensions, been stolen out of Social Security, it's been stolen out of 401ks, it's been stolen out of the state government level. Where is all this money going? It didn't just disappear, it had to go somewhere. But these people who committed crimes are going to be rewarded because the Fed is just going to come in and bail everybody out. Here's another article today on the hedge. U.S. manufacturers' new orders crashed by most ever, and April will be worse. In my opinion, manufacturing is literally extinct in America. Ask yourself, what do we really make here in America? We're so reliant on so many other countries. I mean, now we're importing food. We can't even even feed ourselves. We're importing food from other countries. We couldn't even make enough masks here in America. We were reliant on numerous other countries. It's really sad to see how far America has fallen. We used to manufacture quite literally everything. Now, I can't even tell you what is made in America at this point because what is left being made in America is being decimated. So by the end of this year, whatever's left in manufacturing, by the end of this year, there'll be even less. Really, really sad to see what has happened to America. But as long as people watch reality TV, as long as people just want to ignore the truth, as long as people don't want to get involved, they don't want to say anything, this is going to continue to happen, and you are going to pay the most. You will pay the dearest price for all this. Gold's Gym files for Chapter 11. This is sad. This is really sad. But if people can't get out of their house, they're certainly not going to a gym. But this just kind of reinforces the beginning of this video, that if the economy opened tomorrow, ask yourself, how many people would be going to the gym? My gyms have been closed for about 7 weeks. And I know that when it does open, that it will probably be at maybe 20% capacity because too many people are going to be fearful to go there. And I would probably bet right now that a good percentage of people have already canceled their memberships at my gym because it's been closed. People have lost jobs. Their incomes have been limited. Maybe they have no income. So what's one of the first things to go? It's going to be the gym membership. So the gyms are going to be in big trouble. But again, when they do open, it's not going to be business as usual. Most people are either going to be broke, tapped out, or they're just going to be too fearful to go to a gym. Here's an article today on USA Today. Costco, 3-item limit, meat, poultry, and pork. You're limited to 3 items. We used to say that could never happen in America. Food shortages in America, oh, that could never happen. That only happens in places like Venezuela. Could never happen here. It's happening right now. The processing plants are shutting down. We're having to put down animals. They're not making it to the store shelves. And prices are skyrocketing. So again, people who are telling you that prices aren't going to go up, they're going down, there's no inflation, they are living under a rock. Go take a look at what a pound of steak cost, a pound of pork, a pound of chicken. It is skyrocketing. I mean, even one corn cob, 50 cents now. I remember back in the mid 2000s, 10 for $1. Now it's 1 for 50 cents. I mean, food is absolutely skyrocketing. The cost of living continues to skyrocket while people just believe it's not really happening. Here's another article. 375 million barrels of oil stored on tankers just floating around in the ocean. Oil was back over $20 today. Who's going to buy it? Airlines aren't flying. Trucks aren't moving. People aren't driving in cars like they used to. People aren't going to take summer vacations like they used to. They're not going to travel on airplanes like they used to. We look at the shipping industry, cruise ships. I mean, who is going on a cruise anytime soon? So oil industry is going to see some very, very big trouble. Another article, U.S. Treasury to borrow record $3 trillion this quarter. That's on the hedge. Again, completely unsustainable, and it is another reason why you need to be stockpiling gold and silver. They are going to absolutely destroy the U.S. dollar if they continue this recklessness. You need to bet against the debt. You need to be your own central bank. Right now, if you have the ability to, if you have the means, I think it's a great idea to be buying some gold, some silver, if you can get it. I have a link down below, SD Bullion. That's who I've been buying from. I don't care where you buy from. Go to your pawn shop, go to your coin dealer, go to your favorite coin and silver dealer online. It doesn't matter. I'm not here to tell you to buy from SD Bullion. I just recommend them because they've been great to me. Many people down below referred SD Bullion to me, been a phenomenal company, and they're awake, really awake to what's happening in the real world. Many people in the business aren't. So again, I'm not here to tell you where to buy it from or even to buy it at all. You don't have to. Just, I believe, it's what I'm doing. I believe that you need to protect yourself financially and you need to be holding real money. So again, get some. It doesn't matter where you get it from. Just make sure they're reputable, but make sure you have some gold and some silver. So I'm going to wrap it up right here today. But before I go, I want to say this. This is going to be a crazy summer, politically, economically, socially. It's an election year, and I think we are going to see some real fireworks this summer all across the board. So buckle up and prepare for that. It is going to be a wild ride this summer. You know, I continue to get comments from people or emails from people saying, what can I do about all this? You know, what can I do? And I still think there's a lot you can do. I mean, you can vote, even though many people think that that doesn't matter, but you can vote. What about all these events and protests going on now? Have you gone to any of those? Have you made a video? Have you talked to your church members, your pastor? You know, have you done anything to wake a friend up? You know, what about consciously really thinking about where you're spending your time and your money? Are you still going, you know, to see movies at the movie house? Are you going to do that when they reopen? I probably haven't seen a movie in 15 years. I cannot give Hollywood 1 cent of my money because I just absolutely think that Hollywood is monstrous and I cannot give them my money. As most of you know, I stopped shopping at Walmart last year. I did not agree with their political beliefs. Starbucks, I don't agree with them. So I don't give these companies my money. I don't give these groups my money. And so if you think consciously about where you're spending your time and your money, that starts making a difference. If there are companies that we don't agree with politically or socially, why are we giving them our money? Because they're going to take that money and they're going to use it against you. So we need to start thinking like, do you need to be putting your money in a big bank? How about a credit union? How about a local bank? How about you being your own bank, being your own central bank and not being reliant on a bank, keeping maybe the bare minimum just to pay the bills? That's it. Detaching as much as you can out of the system makes you less reliant on the system. Thanks for watching today. God bless every one of you. Have a phenomenal week, and I'll talk to you very soon.